What's up everybody, it's Frank from AM Ramen and today we're having cricket ramen in Tokyo. Now of course, this is not your everyday ramen, cricket ramen. But there are a lot of countries in Asia, including Japan, that eat crickets. And crickets, as well as other insects, are now seen as a sustainable food. They're a great source of protein, they're very nutritious, and there's a whole lot of them. And this cricket ramen, where they're using 100 crickets per bowl, is supposed to be delicious. If you're interested in learning more, stay tuned.
For those new here, 5am Ramen is your dedicated ramen channel in Japan. I'm Frank, I grew up in Japan and eat ramen every day. Think of 5am Ramen as your gateway to the wonderful world of ramen. And today is all about cricket ramen. While crickets are not exactly something people dream about eating, let's say, there's an interesting story here. We're visiting a ramen restaurant called Ant Cicada. It's an understatement to say that the owner here loves insects. He's done cricket ramen pop-ups in the past, but this year was able to open a full-on restaurant centered on insects, including crickets, of course. Now, the idea of eating more insects has been gaining traction around the world. A big reason is that this can really help the environment. There are insects everywhere. And with insects, you might not have the same issues you have with, say, chicken or pork and other highly farmed meat. I also want to point out that humans have been eating insects from long ago, and they're currently eaten in a number of countries around the world. So while this subject might be tough to stomach for some, try and think of cricket ramen in a new, sustainable, and even tasty light. Antcicada is located in Tokyo's Chuo City, close to Asakusabashi Station and even Akihabara Station. They're only serving ramen on Sundays. The other 2 days that they're open, on Friday and Saturday, they have course meals, showcasing bugs like the world has never seen before. But I'm here for the ramen, of course, cricket ramen, and I'm ordering 2 of them today. The team at Antcicada has spent a lot of time working on perfecting this ramen. They're not just tossing crickets into a blender and adding soy sauce. The first ramen I order is their standard cricket ramen, or a korogi ramen. It's a multiple blend of crickets, including the European house cricket and some local varieties in Japan. The owner, Shinoharu-san, is happy to show you this too. You'll see him walking around, interacting with customers, and clearly loving what he does. Now again, in their cricket ramen, they're using 100 per bowl, 100 crickets. Even the soy sauce is infused with crickets. And it doesn't stop there. Even the noodles have cricket in them. And lastly, the fried cricket that you get on top is one that they've raised there on site at Ant Cicada. Now the other ramen is the cricket ramen, but turned up several notches and done in a Tokushima ramen style. I'll talk more about this later. The crickets in this one are directly coming from Tokushima Prefecture as well. Here's me after the 2 bowls.
So, just finished both bowls at Ant Cicada. And oh my god, they were so good. I don't know how to describe the flavor. I'm at a loss for words. I was expecting like a very bitter taste, but that wasn't there. The most bitter thing that I had was the beer. The cricket flavor was very gentle. I think it's just in the way that they prepare the soup. Now with the first bowl, their signature cricket ramen, it was definitely very refined, very delicate, and it kind of had this golden flavor, salty and sweet at the same time, and that probably also comes from the soy sauce seasoning. Delicious, delicious bowl. In this one, it looked like your more typical modern ramen. You had a nice high quality slab of chashu pork. You also had big chunks of memma bamboo shoots, green and white negi or spring onions, and also mitsuba on top. In addition to that, you had a lot of sesame seeds floating about. So it gave this nice earthy flavor on top of that probably earthy flavor coming from the crickets. Now the other bowl was a limited time bowl, a Tokushima style ramen. Tokushima is a great area. I've been, and they have fantastic ramen. Now, in their ramen, they normally use a raw egg. They had that here, and there were other Tokushima elements. You had bigger chunks of negi, also pork rib instead of pork chashu or butabara, and the broth was a little bit more concentrated with that cricket flavor, but it wasn't as intense as I thought it might be. Just a little bit more of that cricket intensity. And on top of that, it came with rice. This is common in Tokushima. Basically, the ramen in Tokushima has a strong flavor, and people normally want to douse that strong flavor or that saltiness with a bowl of white rice. And the crickets they use are actually from Tokushima, one of the types that they have. Excellent bowls. I am blown away. Let me know what you think. Is this something you would try? Try and think beyond the fact that, yeah, they're crickets, delicious, beautiful bowls regardless. I'm gonna squeeze in one more bowl, or maybe two, since I'm all the way here in Asakusa-bashi.
And the next ramen shop I'm hitting up is Ramen Shokudo Ikkina Issho. It's about a 13-minute walk from Ant Cicada and close to Akihabara Station. You know the drill. I'm grabbing 2 ramen there. First is the shio, or salt-seasoned ramen. It's a chintan, or light soup, that's pork and chicken bones along with fish. It's got thin noodles for that light soup and old-school barrel-style pork chashu. I'm expecting this chashu to be majorly soft. I'm also grabbing the miso ramen. They blend 3 types of miso together, red and white. And if you add up all the ingredients in the soup, they're using 20 plus ingredients and boiling it all together for 12 plus hours. This miso ramen is naturally going to be heavier than the shio and is an example of paitan, not chintan.
Alrighty, just wrapped up at Ramen Shokudo Ikkina Issho. Ordered 2 of their ramen, one was shio, one was miso. Starting with the shio. The shio was very clean and pure tasting, super light, delicate broth, and overall simplicity. I think this place is definitely more in the classic direction. Quite a big contrast with the cricket ramen. If that was modern, this place is definitely classic leaning. Doesn't weigh you down, but isn't boring and is delicious. That chashu pork just falls apart, and what I really enjoyed was adding the yuzu kosho in the broth. This is a chili citrus paste, and it really adds zing to the broth. Now on the miso ramen side of things, the miso aroma and the flavor was really strong. Of course, it's miso ramen, the miso is gonna be there, but I would say particularly in this one, it was stronger than maybe some other bowls of miso ramen. It was rich from the pork bones and chicken bones, but not too rich. It was still very smooth tasting, and maybe not as nutty as some other miso ramen bowls out there. And just like with the shio ramen, it was definitely simple and I think classic in the way it appeared and the way it tasted. There's a lot going into the soup for both of them, but they're still very old school, I think, in the way that they look and the way that they taste. The noodles were in between thick and thin, and they really soaked up the broth in both of them. Great bowls, great contrast with the cricket ramen, and they take you back to an earlier time.
Now today we saw some very different bowls at these 2 ramen shops. Would you try the cricket ramen? Or definitely pass? Let me know in the comments below. And from all 4 bowls, which one do you want to try the most? Let me know about that too.
I hope you all enjoyed this video. If that's the case, please hit that like button. This is Frank from 5 AM Ramen signing out and reminding you that Tokyo is the only city in the world where you can have awesome ramen at 5 AM. Thank you for watching. I've got the mad scientist hair as I'm describing ramen.